Hi guys, it's Chloe and welcome back to my channel. But today I'm going to be talking about something very frustrating and upsetting that is a setback in my medical care. So I'm going to just get into this video. I have something called neurogenic bowel, which a lot of people with spina bifida have, but not all. And basically for me, so my body cannot perform peristalsis. So peristalsis is basically for an able-bodied person, which is someone who isn't disabled. It's when your colon contracts and squeezes and pushes your poop along to ultimately expel. My body cannot do that at all. And therefore, my poop just sits in there, and therefore I get constipated, and it runs the risk of me having an enlarged colon. I do something for that called transanal irrigation, which I have videos on that. So if you click the little eye in the corner, it'll take you straight to those videos. But I'm going to show you guys. So I call this a water bag. I think they call it a water bucket. It's whatever. It does the same thing. But with this water bag, so I have this tubing, and big to little, and then I call this the central control unit. They probably call it something else, but again, still gets the job done, but big to little. And then I have another tube that I connected, and this looks like little D's because they are D's. And this is a rectal catheter, and I am not going to open this and plug it in because I need to save these, and you'll find out why in a hot minute. But basically what I have to do is I have to fill up the water bag or bucket, whatever you want to call it, with finger warm water, and I have to fill it all the way up to these little teardrops or raindrops, whatever you want to call them. And then what I do is I plug in the rectal catheter, and then I turn on the water with the switch, and then, this will fill up with water because you have to lube this, and you do it all natural with water. Everything's all natural here. And then after that, I turn off the water and I let this sit for 30 seconds to activate. And then afterwards, I shove this up there, hence the name transanal irrigation. Kids, if you don't know what that is, ask your parents. But then this gray button that I squeeze, there's in the rectal catheter, there is a balloon inside. I don't know if it's latex free or not, but who knows. And basically, I am inflating the balloon so that it'll stay in there while I do my irrigation. So I can do it hands-free. And then I turn back on the water, and I typically get to 0. And that's where I start. And then I go all the way down to 500. Sometimes I'll do 700 if I'm on my period because I know I get more constipated then. And my clinic doesn't care. They know that I know what I'm doing. But basically, afterwards, there is a black button I press, and it deflates the balloon, and the catheter comes out, and I then sit on the toilet and let nature do its thing. But basically, this is stimulating peristalsis because it mimics it, and it allows me to poop. And with the water, so the water may be different for each person depending on how old they are and their weight. So like, for instance, a 5-year-old isn't going to do 500 milliliters of water, whereas I'm going to do 500 milliliters because of my age and weight. But again, a 5-year-old may not do that. They may do 200. Who knows? Because I never did this as a kid. But basically, this is technically new to the United States. This was actually around in other countries first, and it recently came to the United States because it's proven successful in people with spinal cord injuries, Hirschsprung disease, and yes, spina bifida. For the longest time, I had Anthem of Georgia as my primary, and then straight up Medicaid as my secondary. And basically, I had zero issues getting this covered by insurance, which I was blessed because I know some people had that nightmare, but now their nightmare has become my nightmare because I lost that insurance in July because we were Cobraing and the Cobra expired. And I'm only eligible for Medicaid now. And my Medicaid, I tried to get it covered through them, and they said that they wouldn't accept it because they claimed that it was for children 21 years of age and younger. And I'm like, that's not right. So we appealed it and tried again, only to get denied for the same reason. So I today had to go pick up my foot orthotics and my leg braces, my AFOs, which I'll do a video on those later. And I ended up going to WellSpec because their headquarters are next door to my orthotist or in the same area. So I went and I banged on their, door figuratively, and I marched right in there and I spoke to somebody and I told them I need to speak to someone about insurance coverage for the Navina. And no cap, but these women came over because I don't think they were expecting someone to come in person like that. And I explained the whole thing, and they said, so the codes that they have, which I'm going to pop them up, but the two codes that they have, one is for the actual like control unit and tubing, and then the other one is for the water bag and the rectal catheters. But both of those codes are only for children 21 years of age and younger, are allowed for children 21 years of age and younger. And adults are not allowed to use them as of yet. That goes regardless of what device I have, whether it is the Navina or the Peristeen. And I've got a differential video on that. There will be a little eye in the corner. You can click that, it'll take you straight there, all that jazz. But they're transanal irrigation systems, but again, they are not covered under Georgia Medicaid for people over 21 years of age. And the thing is that I am a part of the Spina Bifida Association. I'm an adult advisory board member for my local Georgia, Tennessee chapter. And every year we do something called Teal on the Hill, where we get together with our members of Congress and advocate for change. And one of the things we have been fighting for every year is to get transanal irrigation covered by Medicaid and Medicare. And we were going to fight for that this year. However, a week or two before Teal on the Hill, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services came out and said that they were going to cover the Peristeen and the Navina. And we were all very excited about it because we have been fighting for that for years. Because even though it's a new therapy in the US, it's been proven and shown successful in other parts of the globe. And I was telling them all that, and they said, yeah, but they only rolled it out for pediatrics right now. And I'm like, okay, what can I do to help speed this up? And they said that I can contact my local district representative. So basically, if you don't know who your district representative is, just go into Google or whatever and search district representatives for whatever state. And then they typically have a find your district representative locator, and you'll just yeet in your zip code and it'll spit out who it is. They said to talk to them about it. and try to write a letter and get this sped up, which I met with my district representative before about other things. So I I know who mine is. And also, you know, I was like, okay, I'll take care of it. And then I got home and I decided to call up Paristine, and the people that make the Paristine said the same exact thing. And they said the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services was supposed to come out with, you know, um, like verbiage to allow adults to use it or something along those lines in October, but they haven't done it yet. So, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, shame on you, because you are literally not giving me access to poop. And paying for this out of pocket isn't cheap. So, they need to get their act together and they need to start covering this for adults, because I literally cannot poop without this and my life depends on this. And this is really so far out of everything I've tried, because I've tried taking a capful of Miralax a day. I tried when I was younger suppositories, and suppositories don't really work. And I tried diet and exercise, which doesn't work for the spina bifida community. And also, just taking Miralax every day doesn't help with the spina bifida community alone. You have to do it in conjunction with this, which the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services should know about. And then my next option is to do surgery, but I am gonna get that done eventually. I just can't do it right now. So, shame on you, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, and do your part and get this covered ASAP. So yeah, that's my little rant for today. I know it wasn't all like happy-go-lucky, but it needs to be said, because not only are they putting people with spina bifida's lives at risk, like adults with spina bifida, but also people with Hirschsprung disease and people with spinal cord injuries. They're literally putting their lives at risk. So if you want to help me out, contact the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and tell them your displeasure and tell them that this needs to be covered. Also, contact your local district representative and let them know that this needs to be covered for adults. I thank you so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Bye.